chose the title Adrenalise for the simple reason that we wanted a word that summed up the 10 songs on the record.
And we wanted something that tied in with the word adrenaline, and it was Phil's idea.
I just said it to my wife one night about being adrenalised or something. I thought, well, that's a pretty cool word. And it kind of seemed apt because I think this album's more exciting and it's a lot more up.
A bit more in your face, and you can sit and listen to them and enjoy them right off the bat.
It's a ballsier record. The guitars are a little bit more prominent, and the songs themselves are a little bit more concise and straight to the point.
There's a song called Tear It Down, All Personal Property, and you know, they just got bits of the... They're a lot more direct and to the point, whereas like on Hysteria, some of the songs you'd have like... and all going off at the same time.
We wanted to get the excitement of High and Dry Pyromania with the production techniques that we learned from Hysteria. And the result is, you know, Adrenalise, which is really a combination of all those three records, and I think it really shows.
We wanted to write 10 rock and roll songs that were approximately 4 minutes long instead of 6 minutes long like they were on the last one. We kind of honed it down a bit. It's the same format, but they're just a little bit quicker, which means that they'd get to the end faster than they did on the last record, which is why they probably last 4 minutes instead of 6. But it was just a case of having that typical lep sound, which is what we like. The first single is my current favourite, a song called Let's Get Rocked, which is a bit of a nod of the head or tip of the hat to The Simpsons, really, to be quite honest. I think we'd been having such a miserable time in the studio that whenever it came on the telly, we just ran straight out and watched it, you know, because it was just such a great programme. And we ended up writing this song lyrically, which summed up the whole character of Bart Simpson. But any 16-year-old kid that's going through one of those phases with his father, or for what it's worth that, you know, a guy can be going through with his wife, just that, you know, tidy your room, take out the trash, I don't want to do that, leave me alone, I want to drink my beer or go out and play on the skateboard, you know. It was that kind of thing, you know. We may be growing old, but we're definitely not growing up. We've got this guy called Steve Barron to direct the video. Steve Barron has previously done the Money for Nothing video for Dire Straits, and he did the Take On Me video for a-ha. You know, they were both, like, at their time, a very innovative form of cartoon. I have no idea how they do it, but they just make things look real that actually don't exist. And so consequently, we were filmed doing our part of the video, running up staircases that weren't there, grabbing all the microphones that didn't exist, playing guitars that didn't exist. And basically, sort of like now, we've all got a handle on how Bob Hoskins felt when he made Who Framed Roger Rabbit, because he went through a very similar process.
Quite like White Lightning, because it's more of an album track song. It's 7 minutes long, and it gives you a little bit more scope to do more things in.
In the middle, it's got this huge, long instrumental section, which, you know, it starts off like goes.
I love all the songs on the next record, really.
Some of them have been knocking around to us for a while, but we just never quite got them right. One of those is a song called Tonight, which in actual fact lost the toss for the spot for ballad on the last album with Love Bites, because we hadn't quite got it right. There was something wrong with it. We didn't know what it was. It's like we'd sit there thinking, this is nearly great, but it's just not quite. So we just shelved it. I said, we're going to dig this out, you know, and over the tour and over the time off, people play it, people listen to it. I got a great idea for Tonight, and we worked it round, and eventually we found the missing ingredient, and we threw it in, and voila, we had a great song.
As far as I'm concerned, Playing live on stage will always be the be-all and end-all of being in a rock band.
Our stage is usually twice the size of a normal stage, so you've got twice as much ground to cover. And being in a round, you can't stand still. You've really got nothing to hide behind. You can't walk backwards and stuff. You've just got to keep running around. So it's really demanding physically. Playing the round is much more fun than playing one end. In fact, on the last tour, after we'd done it in the middle, it wasn't boring, but it wasn't as much fun. You know, it was restricting, you know, your movements, and you didn't have as much freedom. After we'd done the first show on the 87, I think we started, 87, we was like almost throwing up because we were so exhausted. You know, and you didn't realise, you know, you're playing away, and 2 hours late you come off stage and just realise how unfit you are. You know, because you're basically this studio musician, this lump in a seat for however long it takes, you know, in our case, 3.5 years.
As regards the fitness and stamina thing, that's just looking after yourself, you know. I mean, I personally look after myself very well. I play soccer a lot. I'm aerobically very fit. I'm aware of what we have to do to get on stage, and if that means putting my feet up for 22 hours a day and then going mental for 2 hours a day, then so be it.
The best way that we've found of rehearsing for a tour just on a physical basis is to like do aerobic classes, and it's something that you have to do. I mean, otherwise you'd be exhausted halfway through a show and you wouldn't be able to do the proper show. I mean, one thing that we've always wanted to do is give people value for money.
I've got a gym in the house, and of course you can't see the swimming pool, but it's right here next to me, and I try and swim whenever I can, and I keep myself pretty much in shape.
We're going on the World Domination Tour again, part 2, and no doubt we'll be playing the same places we played last time. Hopefully the schedule will be a little bit more humane.
Well, the last 3 years have been mainly taken up with studio time, and that was, for the most part, working in Ireland.
I got married and my wife had a baby, you know, so I was able to be there for the birth and all that, which was really special. And that was great. That was the greatest thing.
3 members of the band got married.
I was the only one that didn't, which probably meant I was in the studio more times than anybody else.
I got home and there was a message on my answering machine from Cliff Bernstein, one of our 2 managers. Phoned me, it's pretty important. So I rang him up. I hadn't got a clue what it was going to be about. And he says, have you heard? And I said, no, I haven't heard anything. And he said, Steve's dead. Well, initially, I just sat there and I went, wow.
My initial reaction was one of not really being that shocked, because he'd been ill for so long, and we knew he was having, you know, problems, personal problems. I think I got more upset about the whole situation when we actually saw each other, you know, as a band again. It was strange that one person was missing, and that he was never really coming back.
There's such a feeling of desperation about the whole thing, you know, of a little bit of helplessness, because throughout the years it was one of the best kept secrets, basically. Steve had a problem for a long time, but was managing to cope with it most of the time. And the last couple of years were really hard on the band and really hard on Steve. You know, I'm talking about going to AA meetings with him, family days, stuff like that, interventions, the whole thing. We now have an insight of what it's like for a person that's maybe married to an alcoholic, it's a hard life. And to a certain extent, the band as a whole suffered, because it does. It drains you, having to put so much attention and looking after one particular person.
Obviously a great friend and all that stuff, and it was horrible to see what happened to him. You know, it was just, there's nothing anyone could do, you know, him included, you know. He tried very hard, and yeah, I mean, we missed him before he died, because he was just having just an awful time.
To be quite honest with you, the thing that annoys me most about it is, on my 30th birthday, I started to think, Jesus, I'm getting old, you know. And then when Steve died and he was 30 years old, it made me realise how young 30 is. And it woke me up a little bit, and it made me realise that there's a long way to go before I can consider myself old, you know. And I was upset for him, in the sense that I know there was so much going off in his head in a negative way because of all these drinking problems. But alongside that, there were so many good, positive things that are now never going to see the light of day, whether it be a song or a painting or whatever. Because the guy had talent. He was great on stage. He was the most amazing person on stage. However, a skinny little guy like him could hold that guitar above his head for 5 or 6 minutes at a time and keep playing the bloody thing. He's just mind-blowing to me. And we miss him terribly.
Obviously, on this album, because of Steve's death and everything, I had to pretty much do all the guitars and stuff. But I just treated it as I was just doing my own thing, you know. That's the way we record guitars, you know. We just keep adding them till they sound right, you know. And if something needs a specific part, you know, we just come up with a new part. So I just basically done that, and it ended up sounding the same as it always does, really. Having said that, you know, we did write together before Steve had all his problems and that, so there's a lot of stuff on the album that he actually wrote that I ended up having to play, which was bizarre, because I'd have to learn it from a tape, you know, after he'd died, and that was pretty strange, you know. It's like playing along with a ghost or something, you know. It's definitely bizarre.
People have asked us, did you consider like packing it all in? And we never really did, because apart from anything else, our tribute to Steve, as best as we could do, is to carry on and go out and play his songs live and play to people and let him be remembered in that way.
We've always been a really tight unit, and we've tended to, you know, see each other's little idiosyncrasies and, you know, whatever problems have cropped up over the years. And now we're to the point where we're used to each other. So the obvious thing with, you know, introducing a new member to the band is that he won't know all those things.
Obviously, it's going to be really weird not having Steve around, you know, and just the fact that we've been together for so long and been so used to it, you know, and all of a sudden there's this new person. So that's going to be really strange for us. You know, we're obviously looking for someone who fits in personality-wise and that kind of stuff as much as a playing.
The most important qualification he's got to have is a British passport and a sense of humour and just be a nice kid. We don't mind if the guy's not the best guitarist in the world, because he'll develop. It's much more important to us to have a nice guy that makes the odd mistake than to have some brilliant player that's a complete egomaniac. We work really well as a unit. That's the most important thing. I think individually, now, musician-wise, people are definitely getting better and better at what they do. 10 years ago, 5 years ago, I would never have had the nerve to say that I consider myself a good singer. Now, I do believe that I have got a reasonably good voice. Now, I very much believe that Phil Collins is an excellent guitar player. Rick Allen is one of the best drummers that I've ever heard. Rick Savage is a brilliant bass player. Nobody keeps time better than him.
Since the last time we toured, which was like 3.5 years ago, technology's just changed so much. It's drastically, you know. And it was a lot more basic back then, but now you've got like all this stuff. It's like MIDI controlled and almost computerized, you know. And you can just do so much, you know. You get like studio quality sounds live, and all the companies are out to better each other and stuff. So it's pretty exciting, but it's hard work because you have to sit there and just painstakingly just go through everything, go yes, no, and try everything out. But we're getting there. It's going to sound great.
I think there'll always be an audience for Def Leppard because we always come up with really strong material. And no matter how, you know, young or old anybody may be, I think in the end, it doesn't matter what your image is, how you look, how many bottles of Jack Daniels you can drink a day or whatever. I think if the songs are good, I think that's always going to stand up, and that's always going to come through.
The fans that we had 4 years ago on the last record may no longer be fans on the new record, and it's something that every band has to contend with. You never know how your new album is going to be accepted. But in the past, we've been fortunate enough to pick up a new generation of fans, if you like, and hopefully that trend will continue.
Without sounding big-headed about it, we know that when we go out there, there is an audience that's basically waiting for our album to come out, because they're still playing our videos 3 or 4 times a day on MTV. They're still playing us on the radio all the time on the rock stations in America, much more so than when we were almost about to release Hysteria. A lot of strange things that goes off with this band. I don't know that it's karma. I don't know that we did something bad and we're paying for it now. I don't know whether this is just life teaching us a lesson in the fact that we didn't pay our dues as kids. We didn't play the clubs for 10 years before we made it. We said, stuff that, we don't want to do that. And we were obnoxious and brave enough, if you like, to go out there and record an EP and cut all the corners and get a record deal within 18 months of forming the band. Maybe it's a comeuppance against that, I don't know. I personally think all it is that we are, if not one of the biggest bands in the world. And anything that we do gets documented.
You never know what's around the corner, especially when you're in Def Leppard, because anything can happen, and we've proved that. But right now, we just want to go out there and play, and we want it to last. We want it to last forever.
I don't know, I'm really psyched up. I think everyone in the band is, and we're really kind of looking forward just to doing something a bit more active, you know, and getting out and just promoting the album. That's why we got in a band in the first place, to play live, not to sit around in some studio and do all that stuff.
I am really, really excited about this album. I'm really looking forward to the future of the band. It's so open and so up in the air and so unpredictable that you can't help but have that little adrenaline rush going through you, because you don't know what's going to even happen tomorrow, you know. And the slight unpredictability of that, mixed in with the predictability of the album being released, the tour happening, all the press that you have to do, all the photo sessions you have to do, the videos you have to make. It's like a treadmill that you're on.
The next one is
Music Tomato.
Mm-hmm. Hi, this is Joe Elliott of Def Leppard, and you're watching Music Tomato. It's part of the process. All we want to do is get out and play live, you know, entertain people, get back on the bus, get on a plane, or travel to the next city, country, and just do it again.
I'm really raring to get out on this tour and get over to fans, either new or old, and I think the record speaks for itself, and I think the name Adrenalise really conjures up exactly what this record is about. I think it's probably going to be our biggest record to date.